Hi everyone, welcome to Soccerbeat and Talking Chiefs. We have two big issues to discuss today. Number one is the Chiefs goalkeeper situation, and we've used all your comments. A lot of you have been saying Chiefs need a goalkeeper. They've signed all these players, but they haven't addressed such a key position. We see that consistently, so we're giving you what you need on the goalkeeper front there. And then the second part of the show will be who's going to take over the captaincy now that Yusuf Maart looks likely to be joining SV Ried in Austria, assuming no hiccups. And if he does go, once again, Chiefs will be on the lookout for new caps and for that feels like the third or fourth season in a row, really, because the previous captains weren't always playing. Before we get going, guys, please hit that subscribe button. About 2/3 of you are regular listeners, but have not subscribed. And if you like the pod, please click like. And if there's anything you want us to cover, we can do a pod on that. All right, so let's start first with goalkeepers. So, guys, the Chiefs have signed all these players, 3 fullbacks, midfielders, strikers. It's gone a bit quiet on the goalkeeper front with the links. Firstly, do they need a new goalkeeper? It's a pretty easy question. That's a big one. And if they don't need a new goalkeeper and you're happy with the options that are already there, which of the 3 is your personal selection? So I think I'll start with Tsepo. You obviously played with Itumeleng Khune, the best keeper this country's ever had, and for so many years it was not even a question mark. Now, there have been years and years of trying to replace him, a bit like your position at left back. They've tried a lot of different options. They've tried veterans, younger guys. They chop and change. What do you think of the keeper situation? Do they need someone new? And then once you've got to that, which one would you pick of the 3 if you say no to that one?
In my opinion, I'll still stick with the 3 that they have, because obviously there's also a huge cry in our country that we're not producing goalkeepers. Like most of the teams are playing with foreign goalkeepers. If you check in our league, there's a huge cry. So I'll just be a little bit biased and try keep it local. I would start the season with obviously it depends how it does also in the preseason games. But for now, let me go with Peterson. I know I've been there with Bruce when he came from the development, but he hasn't looked yet settled, you know. And none of the 3, to be honest, they've looked convincing. Good, they can lead the team to a championship. But for now, I'll still give Brandon Peterson a chance. I'll still go with Peterson and try save the money and try save the money for a striker.
Coach, I was going to say, both goalkeepers are 30 years old. They're not actually young anymore, even though we have a perception that they're still quite young and developing. But neither actually has that many career games behind their back. Brandon Peterson's only played just over 100 matches in his whole career. And, Bruce Pavuma's on 79 games. So despite their age, they're not actually as experienced as one might think. Where do you stand? Do you think one of those two, or the player, the goalkeeper they spent 5 million rand on last year, Ntwari, how would you go with those 3, or would you just go into the market and find an undisputed number 1?
Well, if you look at the fact that Kaizer Chiefs are looking to build very strong team this season, you and I at Tsepo know the goalkeeper is the most important player of the field. You win and you lose games based on how good your goalkeeper is. And if you look at the fact that in the past, Chiefs had a pedigree of keepers from the time of Banks right up to Brian Paloy, right up to Rowan Fernandez, Itumeleng Khune. Chiefs never had a problem in that department. And that is basically why Chiefs survived to the extent that they did. When we were there, we had a good team, but we were backed by a phenomenal keeper in Brian Deloy, followed by Itumeleng Khune. And in saying that, the modern keeper is not just a keeper who's a shot stopper. If you look at these keepers that you've just mentioned now, do they have those qualities? Because that influences the way the coach wants to play. We've seen in the past, when they did attempt to play out of the back, what transpired, they conceded several goals based on the fact that there was no synergy, no technical execution between keeper and defensive structure. It led to goals being scored. So it's a collective in that sense. So I'm saying that Chiefs need to go to the market. With all due respect, I love Brendan Peterson. He's a wonderful keeper. He has attributes that are required. He's a great leader. He's somebody we saw on the bench, even assisting the technical team when those moments arose where he stood up. So he's passionate about it. And I think definitely a keeper that can add value. But I still do think Chiefs need to boost the keeper department and give Brendan that competition required. You look at Vuma. Vuma is a good keeper, but he lacks a lot. He lacks a lot in many, many different ways. We don't have time now to discuss the pros and cons of what he lacks, but he's not the complete package if you look at what Chiefs produced in the past. You look at Molefe, hasn't had many game time. And then you look at Ntwali, who was, in my opinion, a complete flop. So now you're sitting with one goalkeeper. And if you look at the campaign that they will be undertaking, you can't just have one excellent keeper like Peterson. You need at least two with a great backup. So I think in that department, Chiefs need to go out to the market and sign a keeper. I believe goalkeeper, central defender, central midfield, striker, your spine needs to have the best quality available. And we spoke yesterday about the number 6. Tsepo made a point that you need the best number 6. There's no shortcuts. And I think we have to be brutally honest to Chiefs and their fans that they need to break the bank to get that keeper, to get that number 6, and hopefully that number 9 as well.
Okay, so if they go into the market, some keepers that have been linked, we've seen Stanley and Wabali from Chipper, the Nigerian number 1. Obviously, big physique and has a lot of stature in goal. We've seen Ronaldo Lina from Sekakuna, who's maybe on the on the opposite side of the scale, more ball-playing goalkeeper that could bring out the style of player that Naby wants a bit more. And then even someone like Ricardo Goss, that now SuperSport have been sold, he could be on the market possibly now that he's back at Sundowns. And of course, Naby's also looking at his former keeper, from younger, Jigwe Diarra. So is anyone of those, coach, that you would actually jump out as a clear choice? Or are you thinking more about profile and less about the name?
Well, I think the Nigerian goalkeeper is vast experience. Lina, good with his feet, but not the package that I think Chiefs require at this moment in time. I looked at Naby's goalkeeper, in Tanzania. Wasn't that impressed either. So out of the 4 that you mentioned, I will go with the Nigerian goalkeeper.
Okay, and I'm going to surprise you guys. I actually like Bruce Pavuma. Believe it or not, I think he sometimes judged too harshly for his mistakes. If we think of Peterson when he was playing at the beginning of the previous season, he made a lot of errors, giving the ball away in the build-up phase a few times against Sundowns. And he still kind of keeps his reputation quite high because I think he's more of a stylish goalkeeper. He looks more elegant when he plays. Pavuma looks a bit clunky sometimes, but he actually does have a good record when he gets on the pitch. So believe it or not, I would be in Tsepo's camp and say, keep the money, keep the salary for other key positions, and maybe give Bruce Pavuma a chance finally to have a run in the team and surprise everyone. Tsepo, I'm going to bring something else. You mentioned with Peterson. You jump in?
Sorry, just to add on with keepers, when you say we keep the money, I think Darren Kidd is free. A guy like that with vast experience, he can come in handy and come help the Kaizer Chiefs. And listen, the guy, man, everywhere he's went, he's been a number 1 keeper, first choice keeper in most teams that he's played for in his career. And he's a decent keeper, man. He's been with Bafana setup. He went to Europe, came back. So if you want to keep the money with meaning the transfer fee, you still have a keeper like Darren Kidd that's available. I'm not sure if he's free or what, but I read somewhere that he said, his journey with Cape Town has come to an end.
Just to add to what Tsepo is saying, I think what we all agreeing on is the fact that you need a goalkeeper with presence. I like Buma, wonderful boy, but does he have that presence? I think a club of Kaizer Chiefs stature need a goalkeeper with presence. If you look at the past, the keepers I've mentioned, the keeper is he initiates the attack, and also he's very responsible in organizing his defense. He's also very important in making those true shape, match-winning saves. And I just think give Vuma a while, maybe he'll get there. But at this moment in time, because of the importance of where Chiefs find themselves now, they need to ensure that they don't take unnecessary risks. Break the bank, get the keeper. Once your back door is sorted out, there was always a saying that Kevin Hunt meant. He says, to win leagues, we need a very good defense, And that's where he always, but all the top coaches in the world always ensure that the back door is closed. That's including Mourinho, all of these top teams that they coach. They always ensure they build their team from the back. I think Chiefs must do the same. Get a keeper, break the bank. Don't get rid of Huma. He's definitely one. Maybe get Ntwali, put him out on transfer. Molefe will have his time, but make sure you get somebody to complement that aspiration of making Chiefs a team that will compete for that league honor and maybe even do well on the continent.
Oh, we've had some great feedback. Now, one thing that we picked up that you guys said is that Peterson, for any faults that you may have in his game, he has got a big character and he's a leader. And we've seen Yusuf Maart go out the door. Who's going to replace Maart as Chiefs captain? The year before they kind of moved the armband around. It was like a bit of a merry-go-round. As we saw Brandon Peterson have 10 games as captain. We saw Maart take over, on a temporary basis, giving him Simango captain the team 6 times. Emil Sindave, De Klokwe all had a chance. Last season, of course, Inashu Miguel came in. He was the vice captain. Is it as simple as just giving him the captaincy? What other candidates are there in the squad, and who would be your vice as well? Because we know, Miguel, he's very physical defender. He had quite a few suspensions last year, so you also need a backup for that. Tsepo, let's start with you. You played you played behind or in front of, Itumeleng Khune. There were other big characters there, Morgan Gould, Masha Maiti, Bernard Parker, all those guys. Even Katsande later on became captain that you played with. So what's your opinion on this? Who would you give the armband to?
It's a tough one, but I'm sure by now, once you become a vice, chances are if the captain goes, you'll take the role. So I'll just give it to Miguel for now, man. I think is when you look at how he plays, he also tries and communicate and organize the team. So it's more of he's got the character and personality. But with captain, they differ, man. I remember when Mashamaite was the captain, he was not the loudest in the field or what, but he would lead by his performances, and he was a quiet leader, but we all respected him, despite him not being too vocal or making noise or want to, so and you had Itu was more vocal, you could loud and and so you have different type of leaders, but I would go for Miguel and maybe Tabo or Rim Fosler as the assistants.
Okay. And for you, coach, who would you go with?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question to Tsepo first, because it's a tough one. And I think of late, Chiefs haven't signed that many players with that personality. And I think with a captain, you have to be an extrovert. You can't be an introvert. And a lot of those players at Chiefs currently won't have those qualities that you need from a leader, to be fair. That's why I think Tsepo managed to just get 2 names, including Reese Fosler, who's also just maybe somebody. So I think it's a difficult one to call at this moment in time. And as much as we realize that Miguel is a time bomb, he's a player that gets yellow cards quite often, etc. He would probably be your best candidate because he has that personality. He's a leadership by nature. He's always organizing. He's always getting stuck in there. He's always communicating. So I think it's the best choice amongst what you have. If you had a Neil Tovey, who I think was a phenomenal captain, you had a Itumeleng Khune, was a very vocal but a good captain. Those people had the qualities that make up a captain. Today it's not just a captain who plays well on the day. It's a captain who's got the leadership to lead. He's a captain who is able to gain the respect of his team. It's not just somebody, he earns that respect. He's not somebody that says, I'm the captain, follow me. He earns that respect by showing himself as an example, to be exemplary. I think to some extent, Mark fitted it, but he wasn't exemplary 360. At times, he didn't really give the necessary example that he needed to. And there, by that, I'm saying consistency in performance. You look at Neil, always consistent. You look at Khune, always consistent. And that is what you have to have when you captain a team like Chiefs. And I'm saying this with all due respect to other clubs, but Chiefs, Sundowns Pirates, you need a special person. At this moment, I would have to settle with Tsepo and say Miguel would be the ideal captain in the absence of Maart.
And to add, in today's game, it's not about only what you see on the field. As a captain, it's very important how you conduct yourself off the field. You can't have a captain that's always late for training or all those. You have to conduct yourself in a certain way that earns you respect from your teammates. Because there's also youngsters in the team. They look upon the senior players. And again, you can't only, a team like Kaizer Chiefs, you can't only do it alone. Like me, I'm the captain. You'll need, some of the guys, like the senior guys. I remember when I was there, we had a captain's committee. There were like 5 guys, in the committee. So just we don't want to throw all the load on one person. Just to share the load with the captain. So it will be very important that whoever is captaining the team, wearing the arm belt, but the guys behind him, they also play a vital part, in making sure that everyone, is leading to the same direction. We're all going to the same direction, as in terms of the goals of the team. And obviously, the captain has to be close to the coach, because at times you'll need to make decisions. It's a set piece. We 2-0 down. You can't bring everyone to come and defend. We know ideally in the training ground the coach wants this setup. But with 2-0 down, you can just tell the attackers, guys, just wait there. We'll sort it out. Once we get it, you can go and counter. So you need someone who's also close to the coach and understands the game, understands who can read the game and understands the game.
Just on that point, the Grant that Tsepo is making, when we were there, we had a players committee, both when I was with Machine and Ted, and we would sit down collectively and discuss what we needed to do moving forward. But also, can you imagine when Tovi was leading that team prior to, when we got there with Machine, he had personalities of the like of Dr. Kumalo, Kabo Muki, Brian Beloy. These were all national team players. Now, to lead a group of those players, you need to be special. You need to have a certain demeanor. You need to have when you walk into that room, you need to be taken notice of. And I think this is what Chiefs need to do. Don't take it for granted. They could get more out of the younger players if they have a captain who's able to motivate them. I remember when Shoes Michel was there, and he came to me and he said, "Coach, don't worry. I'll take care of the younger players. I will compliment, the captain in this regard." So that is a role these senior players will have to play. And he did a fantastic job, because, when you get promoted, senior players look at you sometimes as a threat and they treat you a little bit differently. And the worst thing you could do is try to challenge them, because that's what some younger players think they can do, only to find you don't do that. You manage them. And this is the skill that I think a captain can ensure that he passes on to them. Listen, today we're going to have coffee, and he briefs him. Listen, when you deal with these situations, don't go off the wrong way and start challenging the captain or the teammates. Ensure that you build trust. Ensure that you build their respect. And this is why a lot of youngsters we had were able to easily blend in with the team. And to summarize, the captain and the senior players play that role. Chiefs are in a similar situation now. They need a strong captain. And I think besides Miguel, there's nobody else that I can think of.
Yeah, I think we all set it on Miguel in the end, and maybe a committee behind that. So the Refrostlers, even giving him Simango, who captained TS Galaxy, those type of players, even Thabo Tele. So I think that's probably, and Brandon Peterson having captained the team and having a big personality. So I think we've set it on it. Let us know in the comments who your new captain would be and which goalkeeper you would want in goal for next season. Thanks so much for tuning in.